that you've probably heard something like it before, but not quite. Does anyone know what an octopus is? I love octopuses because they have 8 legs or arms, they have 8 tentacles, and then a head, and a little mouth in the middle, and they have 2 eyes, and they're really smart. Did you know that? They're a real animal that lives out in the ocean. And you don't have to be afraid of them, but this story is about the big, bad octopus. Once upon a time, there were 3 little shrimps. And they were little. They were like this. But they started to grow up, and they got about this big. And that's when their mother said, "You have to go out into the ocean and build your own homes. This home of mine is not big enough for the 3 of us, the 4 of us, because there were 3 little brothers." And so she sent them out the door. It's a little shoe that she lived in on the bottom of the ocean. And they went together, and they decided, well, this is a big job to build a house. It takes a lot of work, a lot of money. We don't have a lot of money. We don't want to do a lot of work. Well, the first 2 said we don't want to do a lot of work. So the first one, he came along and he saw, oh, a little pile of straws. You know, the little straws you get at a cafe. There were straws that someone had dumped in the ocean. And he went and he got the straws and he put them together and he wove them together into a little basket hut house on the bottom of the ocean. And then one day he was inside watching television and something knocked on the door. And he said, "Who is it?" And there was a voice outside. It said, because it was underwater, it said, "Little shrimp, little shrimp, let me come in." And the shrimp said, "That sounds like a bad guy at the door." He went and he looked through the door and he peeked, and it was an octopus. And octopuses love to eat shrimps. He said, "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin, I will not let you in." And the octopus said, then all huff and all, because it's hard to hear somebody talk underwater. And he shot a bunch of ink, because octopuses can shoot ink. Did you know that? He made a big ink cloud, and the ink cloud, it came out so fast, it blew down the straws. And the little shrimp had to go skittering. Shrimp swim backwards. They go, and he shrimped his way across to his brother's house. And he ran away. And the octopus, by the time the ink cleared, all he saw were a bunch of straws on the ocean floor. And there was no shrimp. And he, with one of his tentacles, he went, "Darn it!" And he slunk off like this to go and see if he could find another shrimp. Pretty soon, the little shrimp, they were scared at first. The little shrimp went into his brother's house. His brother had built a house out of sticks. You know, trees fall in the ocean sometimes, and this tree had fallen and had a bunch of sticks on it. And this little shrimp, he said, "I can make a house out of that really easy. I don't have to spend a lot of time on this." So he took a bunch of sticks and he put them together and he made a little house. And he was living in his little house, and along came his little brother and said, "There's an octopus after me. You gotta let me in. You gotta let me in." And he said, "Okay, come on in." And they kind of clutched each other, were scared for a little bit. But shrimp don't have very long memories, and so after a minute, they were like, I think it's gone. Hey, is that, you have a TV too." And so they started watching TV. Watching, some kind of cartoon about a sponge or something, named Robert. And they were inside, just having a great time, eating popcorn, and there was a knock on the door. Underwater, And the little shrimp who lived there said, "Who is it?" Because they thought maybe it was their other brother who came over to watch the show with them. And they heard a voice outside and said, "Little shrimp, little shrimp, let me come in." And the first shrimp said, "That's the guy. That's the one who broke down my straw hut." And the shrimp said, "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin, I will not let you in." And the voice outside said, and you could hear the water start to move, these big tentacles that were moving all around the outside of the sticks, and the sticks were starting to crack. He said, and he clutched the outside edges of the stick house, and he blew all of this ink into the house so that they couldn't see anything. And in the blackness, they grabbed onto each other's little arms, because they have a lot of arms. They're like a little bug. They grabbed their little arms, and they skittered off through an opening, and they went as fast as they could towards their older brother's house, where they knew he was so boring. He never watched TV or anything, but he spent a lot of time on his house, and his house was over there, so they were going there. And the octopus went, and the bubbles went everywhere, and the ink went everywhere, and the sticks went everywhere, and there were no shrimp. And the octopus, he was mad. He was so hungry. He went across the ocean floor, following the scent of a couple of ink-drenched shrimp. They didn't realize they were leaving a trail, and they left a trail on the way to their older brother's house. Their older brother was pretty smart. He said, there are a lot of big things in the ocean that would love to eat a shrimp like me. I am going to play it smart. I am going to build my house out of the best thing I can possibly find. And he went around, and he talked to a fish that told him about where these people were, men out on the surface were dumping a bunch of stuff in the water that was really useful. A bunch of bricks and tires and things like that. And he went over there, and he found some bricks. And he hired a couple of sea turtles to help him lift the bricks, because bricks are huge, And these bricks, they were really, really good bricks. They were kind of reddish colored and about that big. You can see they were about as big as my head. And they had 3 holes in each one. And that's for the men. When they make a wall with them, they stick a bar down those, and it helps the wall stay up. The bar and the concrete and everything, it all holds together. So they had these bricks and with little holes. And he thought that'd make a great window, because shrimp they like to see out. So he had these little holes, and he was like, these are just shrimp-sized. I can get in and out, and nothing else can come into my home, because I have these little holes in the bricks. And he made this brick house, and it was so strong. He asked, what is the fish that does the cementing? There's some fish that does the cementing and comes and cements the whole thing, so that it was such a strong little house, and he felt so safe inside. And pretty soon he heard a knock at the door. It was very, very frantic. 2 brothers were outside, and they were shivering and so scared, and they were holding on to each other going, please, please, let us in, there's an octopus after us. And he said, of course. And he opened the door, and he let them in. And he said, we're so scared. He knocked down our houses. And the octopus is coming, and we have to be safe. And he said, don't worry at all. I built my house out of these lovely bricks and cemented them together. You can't knock it down. I even had a scuba diver down here the other day trying to catch me with a little net, and he was poking his fingers in all the holes, and he couldn't get this apart. He couldn't pull it apart. He couldn't uncover me. He couldn't do anything to my house. And that's a scuba diver. That's the strongest thing in the ocean, practically. I had a shark come by, didn't even see me, because just figured it's just a pile of bricks. So everybody just calm down. My house is very, very, very safe. And the other 2 brothers, they kind of looked around, and they thought, this is a very strong house. You actually built this very well. I feel very relaxed, actually. And one of them asked, can I have a hot dog? And he said, we don't have hot dogs, we're under the water. And he said, oh, okay. And so they relaxed, and they were just relaxing, because he didn't have a TV. He didn't care about watching television or anything. But they were hanging out and starting to really feel safe. And they were so happy that their older brother was so smart to build a house out of bricks so that they'd be safe. And the bricks all had those little holes so they could look out. And they looked, and they saw, the octopus is coming. And he said, don't worry. he's coming, but he can't get in here. Nothing can get in here. And they started to feel pretty happy. They saw the octopus coming, and he swam by, and he, with his one of his big eyes, he looked in and he saw the shrimp, and he stopped. And they said, "Ha ha! You can't get us! Look at you! You can't get us! We're in here and you're out there, and you can't get us!" La 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 la. And he knocked on the door, and the oldest brother, he answered. He said, "Hey, Octopus! Hey, big bad Octopus! You're not allowed in our house. You can't come in here, and there's nothing you can do about it." And the octopus said, and something happened that had never happened in any fairy tale before that. Because the moral of the story is supposed to be that if you prepare well and you're smart and you take the time and work hard, you can build a house that the wolf can't get into. Well, it wasn't a wolf, and they weren't pigs. These poor shrimp, they thought they had it right. The unfortunate thing that I forgot to mention to you is that another thing about octopuses that is so amazing is they don't have bones at all. They have just their beak is about the only thing in them that is like a bone, and it's very sharp. It's like a parrot's beak. And a parrot uses their beak to break seeds and things, and an octopus uses its beak to break clamshells and all the little things that protect all the animals in the ocean from getting bit. They're not octopus bite proof, unfortunately. And because an octopus has no skeleton, the little holes in all those bricks, he just picked one of them, and he put his little tentacle in. And they said, "Oh, you can't come in." And he kept on coming in. And he came in, and he kept coming in, and pretty soon his next tentacle came in, and his next tentacle, and his next tentacle. Pretty soon there were 8 tentacles inside, and then he slurped his head all the way through that skinny hole into their tiny house. And if they'd been smart, they would have gone out the window, but they weren't very smart because they're just shrimps. And he ate all 3 of them. And then he went out another hole and left. And that's how octopuses feed themselves. And that's the story of the big bad octopus, who was actually a very smart and successful octopus and developed a love of... did you know octopuses have hobbies sometimes? This octopus, he loved to collect coins. So he would hang around where the people would throw their coins in. And he'd collect them all, and he'd put them in a little hole. And he had a little hole he'd keep his coins in. He loved his shiny coins. And he ate shrimp, and he ate crabs, and he ate clams, and he ate all kinds of things that lived on the bottom of the ocean, and none of them could build a house that could keep them out. Because if they did, it'd keep them in, and then they'd be stuck. So that's the moral of the story. If you are a very small shrimp this big, you need to be afraid of octopuses. But if you're a child... you don't have to be afraid of octopuses. They're just really, really neat because they got tentacles with little suction cups all over them, and they can climb anywhere, and they can get through even the crack in a door. They can get all kinds of places. Isn't that fun? Well, that's the end of our story for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you guys later.